J Sugar, comedian Jay Rich, and Dre Rivers Entertainment. The Gab Show starts now.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year 2020. Welcome to the Gab Show, and excuse Mr. J. Rich's absence on today. We just spoke, so we'll be talking to him later on. And we have a nice guest here. I'm so excited about Mr. DB Bedford. How are you? Happy New Year.
I'm good, Shay. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Am I the first one? Am I setting the year off?
You are setting the year off.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
And Dre Rivers Entertainment. Give it up. Shout out to Dre Rivers Entertainment.
One time.
For the one time. I'm so happy to have you here. A lot of people are hopefully going to be watching because we're going to pretty much promote this show because it's a total big deal. I love your movement.
Thank you.
And I'm very interested in it. I don't know your whole movement, but I do know, and I can feel the energy from you that it's really good. I know you have a story. I don't know you personally because you're from Oakland and I'm from the Ridge.
Right.
But everybody that knows you, they speak highly of you, and I watch your posts and all that. I really enjoy the hashtag iNeverWorry.
Yes, ma'am.
And I want to get to know more about the EI, emotional intelligence.
Yes, ma'am.
Because, that's those two alone, just to close your eyes and think about it, iNeverWorry, and then emotional intelligence. And we are living in an emotional world. And a lot is going on with relationships, even with your children, the president. There's just so much going on, and it will drive you crazy if you let it.
Absolutely.
And it's hard for me not to worry. That's why I watch you, and I'm like, how did he never worry? Like, that's my middle name. I'm worried about passing gas right now.
Well, hold steady.
So can you tell me a little bit about emotional intelligence? Let's start with that.
Okay. So, emotional intelligence in its simplest form is the ability to process emotionally charged situations through a logical lens.
Okay.
It's the ability to process emotionally charged situations through a logical lens. Traveling in this human experience, there's no short of emotional situations. Whether it's your kids, the person you're in a relationship with, the coworker you can't stand, the person who cuts you off, the customer service person, or scenarios. You go outside, think you're about to leave, your car's on flat. Or, you know what I mean? Like, there's always something that just charges you for a second that makes you feel a certain kind of way. Mm-hmm. So emotions, how do I feel? Intelligence, what do I do with the feeling? So it's not about like this warm and fuzzy lifestyle where you're just happy all the time. It's like being honest about how you feel about things, and then what do you logically do with that feeling? And I think that the more people that embrace, so my challenge is to challenge people is to get up every day and look at the world through the lens, right, of emotional intelligence. And so I like to make an analogy. If someone wears glasses, right? I mean, if you don't have your glasses for the day, I mean, you can see, but it's a little different, right? And some of us got to turn back around and go get them glasses. I ain't even about to try to do this. I think it's the same thing with emotional intelligence. When you have your EI lens on, it won't matter what comes your way. You'll have the ability to process it in a manner where it doesn't disrupt, right, your energy level. I like to talk about vibrating on high frequencies and low frequencies. And low frequency vibrations to me is any person or situation that will be negative, whether you do something about it or not. Some things you just can't control. So how do you process that in a way where it doesn't just change the scope and direction? Because sometimes little things happen to people and their whole day is messed up.
Exactly.
They spend the whole day talking about it. They spend days talking about it. So your clarity has been impacted, your energy, because your energy introduces you way before you say anything, right? So we have a bad conversation, and then the next person you talk to, you like, let me tell you what DB did, right? And they may have been trying to tell you something good, but now you can't receive that because you want to.
You on that.
Key on that. And so to me, it's a very powerful skill set that every human should possess. And so since I've been aware of it since 2009, it's become my mission, my life's mission, my new discovered purpose to raise awareness to as many people as possible, specifically our community in general, because we're emotional people.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? We flash in a minute, and then we try to use logic to justify why we did what we did. And I want to help us kind of get in front of that, because we're missing a lot of opportunities and restraining relationships, around us, close and otherwise, because we haven't, we were talking about this off camera, a lot of people spend more time looking out the window than looking in the mirror. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. How does iNeverWorry tie into emotional intelligence?
Excellent question. So my original brand was NeverWorry.
Okay.
Right, without the I. Started in 1995 back in my street days, growing up in East Oakland in an area called Brookfield. When I was out hustling in the streets, I created this T-shirt brand. It was probably one of the things that I'm earlier known for, one of the first people to create a T-shirt brand, especially one with a positive message. And then it evolved as I evolved, and as things got better for me, I started becoming like more of a consultant, an advocate, a coach for other people's lives. But it's by default. It was because I had gotten myself in some serious trouble, and the judge that was involved in my case seen something in me that I didn't even see in myself. And he is the first time I probably paid attention to like the importance of having a different perspective.
Wow.
Right. So when he gave me an opportunity to reinvent myself, I started becoming this advocate. And so I grew, and it was no longer about being just a T-shirt company. So I wanted to put some purpose behind it. And then about 5 years ago, I was on social media, and I seen this post that said, I hustle. And it had it had like the little lowercase I. It said, I hustle. So I reposted it. I said, I hustle, because I'm a hustler by nature, and I put NeverWorry at the bottom. And then one of my colleagues, Rod Campbell, who created Oakland, USA and Dope Only, he texted me and he was like, dude, why don't you just put the I in front of NeverWorry? And I was like, all right, that shit sound dope. Hold on for a second.
That.
Right? So I went and read it. I'm like, that's it, right? And so iNeverWorry, and at the same time, I had already been up on emotional intelligence. So it was, to me, it was just, we were talking about kind of a spiritual talk off camera. It was like universal alignment. It was like the perfect way to reintroduce myself. Because if you understand emotional intelligence, then it's almost impossible to worry, right? Because worrying has never gotten us out of any situation, right? And stress is usually activated when our expectations don't match reality, right? And so I just felt it was just a great opportunity to rebrand myself, and because iNeverWorry is a conversation piece. If you wear this shirt, somebody's gonna look at you and say a couple of things. One, they're gonna look and be like, iNeverWorry, like for real?
Yeah.
Like how does that happen? Or they're gonna be like, oh, I don't worry either. Or they're just going to be curious, like, how does that happen? So it gives me opportunity to lead them into the conversation of, well, I cannot worry because I practice emotional intelligence.
That's beautiful. I think, too, it's easy for some never to worry, just the way, how they came up in life and how they grew up being strong. Some people who have been, like, spoiled, all their life and handed everything and never had to worry. And then all of a sudden it's a cutoff. They never really practiced the iNeverWorry and the emotional intelligence. So it's harder for some. Me, I grew up in a household where my mom is like very overprotective, and she's a worrier. even though she said, I ain't wearing it, you know. And she's just a real, that saved kind of woman, saved, sanctified, filled with the precious blood and that with fire. Jesus is my friend.
Right.
You know, that's my mom. But then, oh, y'all don't go out there. No, I don't want to. You know, like, but Jesus is your friend. Why are you worried?
Right.
So with me, I am trying because of you. And, and Roro,
yes,
she is like a total cheerleader for iNeverWorry. Yes. And I think that's beautiful. And it really made me want to know, because I do worry about a lot. Right. I have 2 black, beautiful sons. One 21, he's autistic. Mm-hmm. The other one, 16 years old. Right. I worry about them every time they walk out the house. And it's just so much going on in the world. And that also ties into this world and 2020 and being 50 years old, living my last 50 years. I lived my first 50, you know, and a lot of things I wish I didn't do. Right. And it has me here now, and I'm living my last 50. So for the people out there who is listening, 2020, I think, you know, a lot of people have New Year's resolutions. I already messed up on mine. Today is the 3rd. I said I wasn't going to do sugar. Yeah, it happens. Yeah. But anyway, no. So
that's a tough one, though.
It is.
That's tough.
Oh, it is. I started feeling sick. Had to have me some sugar. My name is Shay Sugar. So I'm like, how the heck you ain't going to have no sugar? But I think that we do need to try to practice never worrying and emotional intelligence, because I do know if I go off on somebody, I feel it at the end of the day. I cannot sleep. For sure. Back in the day, I used to fight all the time. And after, even if I didn't even start the fight, you know, after fighting, and then, but when you go home and go to bed, you just have that energy on you. It's like this thing on your back, and it's like, it's an awful feeling. And I almost wanted to call and say sorry. You know, I always want to, you know, apologize, but you don't want to be a punk. Right. But that's why I avoid stuff, even with my family. Like if I have an argument with my siblings or something, I try not to do that, because I don't want to be the one who have to call and say, I'm sorry, we shouldn't have, you know, so I just don't do it anymore. And that is emotional intelligence. That is emotional intelligence. And then kind of the next level of that is to be able to call and have that conversation and articulate how it actually made you feel. Yeah, awful. Right? Because not only did the after effect made you feel, but what was the feeling that caused you to make that action? Mm-hmm. See, a lot of times we never go back and have that conversation. Yeah. You know, because I want to make sure that it's understood. Like, this is not about a warm and fuzzy lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes you're going to take action. Like, you know, like last night, like I had to give my son a 2-piece last night. You know what I mean? He's 14, love my kid to death. But I think there comes a time in every father and son's relationship where the prince thinks he's the king, right? Mm-hmm. And I had to check him, you know? And I've never had to check my son like that before. But it was either I check him or he goes out here and gets himself killed, because he was not honoring what authority means. So I felt like I had to make a decision. And it was lightweight, but it was enough to make him realize, like, you need to stop and think about what's happening. Because if you are not necessarily respecting what I'm saying, you know, what happens when the police officer tell you to put your hands on the steering wheel? And if you give him the same look you're giving me, then, here we increase the chances, right? And so what I taught my son last night, and so the thing about it, after it happened, we circled back around. It wasn't like, now go to bed or whatever. It's like, no, now let's talk it all the way through. And the lesson in that for him, I had to remind him that his lack of situational awareness brought the situation on. Because he had all the telltale signs. I'm a very passive, like, I'm a cool ass dad. Like, you can get away with, and he was getting away with a lot. But at the time that the situation was escalating, he should have been able to cue, it's time to readjust.
but it let me know how far out of reality he was. And so, he's back now, right? But I was able to articulate him, love him, hug him, sitting in the bed, wake him up this morning, more love, more hug. Not something I ever want to do, but I will. If it, you know what I'm saying? If I'd rather the trauma happen here and we work through it, then you go out there, number one, to one of these police officers, put you in check, or one of these hothead youngsters, because you don't have this sense of reality. And when I try to teach people, there's a difference between keeping it real and keeping it reality. And keeping it real has a lot to do with storyboards you tell yourself. Keeping it reality is the stuff that is real, whether you believe in it or not. And a lot of us is in our heads. We call it the emotional storyboard. You got this tape running in your head about how you think life really is until you run into how life really is. And so we have to kind of make sure we invest in those around us and practice it. But we were talking about, articulating. At the end of the day, you may have to take an action, but as long as you're able to communicate it through, that's really the emotional intelligence piece of it. We're not going to always get it right. But when you don't get it right, the high level of EI is to come back and say, here's where I should have done better. Here's where it could have been. This is why I made that decision. And let's start from here to kind of heal this part of the relationship. Most of us in our community, we just don't. We just let it be, let it grow. And then we do something that we call confirmation bias, right? So something happens. So I can go tell my side of the story to all the adults and they'll be like, yep, that's what he get. And then he'll go tell all his partners and they'll be like, oh man, it's messed up, your daddy tripping. And what we do is we go search for people to validate our decisions. That's called confirmation bias, but that's lack of emotional intelligence, because back to the word we used a minute ago, is perspective. The people that have the highest level of emotional intelligence have the ability to actually look at the other perspective of a situation and accept it. You don't have to agree with it, but you need to accept it, because perception and perspective is real, right? We're in this room right now, and everybody in this room, we're in the same room, but everybody's going to see this experience different.
Right.
Right? And most of the time, we don't honor that. We think if you don't see it my way, then you're wrong, right? And so emotional intelligence is very important to grow, for growth. And I tell folks, people are your greatest resource. It's not money. It's not anything. People. And if you learn how to have good relationships with people, then all the success that anybody's ever searching for will happen, because people are resourceful. And people will advocate for you in spaces that you're not even in to get you where you need to be.
That's game.
Yeah. You know you got to tap me, because I'll be on one. So
no, I'm just like, I'm glad this is being recorded. And I also wanted to touch back on, first of all, I want to say, as far as like going back to have to apologize and go back to it, I hate to do that. So that's why I really practice now.
Why?
Not to.
Let me ask you why.
Because it just makes me feel like we got to relive it again. So I try to practice not making the mistake, so I don't have to go back. Now I will go back, but I don't like going back. So being that I don't like to go back, I try to check myself in up front, so I don't have to do that. Like if somebody's coming after me and I'm thinking I'm about to go off, then I think if you do that, you're going to feel bad later. Right. And then you got to go back and y'all got to talk and y'all got to make up and y'all got to, so just don't even, ignore it or fix it or check yourself. I check myself or whatever. That's called self-awareness, just so you know. Okay. First domain of emotional. So I want to give you credit. I don't like to go back and do that.
So I want to give you credit for knowing that about yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Right, because there's 4 domains to emotional intelligence, but the first domain is self-awareness. Most people will not practice that part of it, but they don't understand that you will never be able to manage what you can't measure.
Right.
Right. So ahead of time that's not your favorite part of things that you do. So what you do in the front end is try to avoid it.
Yes.
Having to do it. So you try to make your decisions accordingly. So that is a good opportunity of practicing emotional intelligence. I just want to give you a nod for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
I appreciate that. And I wanted to give you a nod for hugging and loving on your son after he got in trouble. That's a beautiful thing, because a lot of times when we're upset at a child and we, okay, are you sorry? I'm sorry too, but you don't really feel it. You know, you say it, but you're not practicing it because your child probably got on your nerves or whatever. So I think I want to say that to people right now with children. Sometimes we forget to hug our kids. We forget to praise them. We forget to talk about the good things that they're doing because of the bad stuff they've done. You're so mad at them. Look at you, look at you, look at you. You know, so I think it's so important to you know, give them their kudos often, because kids, they look up to their parents and that's what they need. And I think they need you to believe in them first. And sometimes when we get upset, and I've been that girl to get upset with my kids, and then they do something I just ignore it, or they come try to hug me, and I be like, go on, leave me alone. You know. I need to remind myself, and I try to have, you know, I have boys, so I want them to be tough. So I don't really, I'm practicing now to hug my kids more and tell them I love them and be more mushy, you know, because they need that. And my mom and dad wasn't huggers, but they hugged the hell out of my kids. You know, the next generation get all the stuff. But that hug and that I love you and you're doing good and I got your back, I believe in you, that's important. A lot of times we don't even know when kids, your children or whoever is going through a depression because they don't feel comfortable telling you if they feel like they're not going to get that hug or they're not going to get that. So I believe depression is really, really the thing of today because there's so much going on and everybody want to feel tough. And a lot of people are not getting the love they want to get, so they're not saying I'm depressed because they feel like if they say, oh, I'm depressed, they're going to be left out there. So please pay attention to your people. Depression is real. I fight depression because I'm 50 now and I'm not where I want to be in life. And I think about my kids. I worry about them. Sorry.
No, with me.
And, you know, it's just like a real thing. You know, you lay up at night, you 50, friends around you dying. You know, people are dying. People are sick. Sometimes you want to help and you cannot because you got to help yourself, you know, and you just can't afford to help everybody. And it's a sad thing. And when you walking around dealing with a lot of people who are not pretty much showing you that they feel the same way, you're kind of afraid to talk about it because you don't want to be left out there. So I think for 2020, everybody should remind themselves of other people and your family and your kids and your friends and your coworkers. Even when people go off on you and do stuff, you're like, where did that come from? You know, you never know. Yeah. People are committing suicide and they're like, who, why, when, what? They did? Oh, he was so happy. He was this, he was that. But he didn't want to put himself out there.
And I want to go back. That's an excellent segue. And before we go farther down that path, I'm always want to take opportunity for the lesson, right? And so, because there's somebody who heard that and was like, yeah, you know, whatever, with the kids, that's what they get. It's same thing with the cousin, same thing with like teachers. But the lesson in that is that the reason why it's important to go back, you know, especially with our children, because we all have to learn to vibe responsibly, right? You know how they tell you to drink responsibly, like we got to vibe responsibly. And there's a transference of energy that happens. So if I'd have woke up this morning and woke my son up with the energy from, if I didn't close the loop, number one, from last night, but even woke up this morning rehashing that, he has a basketball game today, right? If he can't whoop me.
Okay, I'm listening.
Right? If he can't whoop me, somebody else is about to get that. Because my son ain't no little dude. Right? I mean, you know how these kids are these days. He ain't a little dude. Huge. So somebody is going to feel that aggression. Now, it might be the coach. It might be if he got a girlfriend. But somebody else is going to get that.
And it might be the other team.
It might be the other team.
Throw threes all night.
But there's a risk, right? Because most people don't know how to vibe responsibly, that we're going to use it for negative instead of positive. You take a very special kind of person to take a challenge or an unfortunate situation and let it fuel you, empower you for the good. Most of us take it and leverage it for more bad. So if I were to, win this room, and get up and do this and clean the room and take, just been owning, then, or if I hadn't processed it, that energy could show up here today. Or I could have changed my mind and be like, you know what? I ain't even really in the mood today. Could make an excuse not to come. Because we do that too, right? Because your mood is in direct proportion on how you're going to deliver information for the day and receive it. So it's important to process it, accept it, and move on. That is one of the biggest hurdles that we have. We won't, because we'll feel like somebody getting over, we letting it go, or we don't like to just have a conversation about something and then let it be that. We have to go all the way in, right, until it's on us. Then we want you to stop. And I always say it ain't no fun when a rabbit got the gun, right? You're not going to always be. So when you pressing people or pressing a situation, there will be a time it'll press back on you, because life is funny like that. One day you'll be at the table, the next day you'll be on the menu, And so understanding that entire process, I think through the lens of emotional intelligence helps you balance it. And then when you talk about depression, to me, I feel like, and this is not from a clinical standpoint, I think depression has every bit about what we call, from the EI standpoint, about that emotional storyboard. It's the narrative that you're telling yourself about life that is not necessarily true. Even though it appears to be that way, there's always other perspectives. But depression lowers your vibration, so you're not able to see the other side of things. There's always something on the other side, but it's hard when you broke, you're not where you at, whatever you like. Yeah, it's always like, I hear you, but right now, but there's something magical in the belief, right? That there's more for you, and it's something magical to see the value, even though you are stressing off one thing, but there's a lot of value in who you are today, no matter where you at. There are people who value you, but you're not focused on them. You're focused on everything that's not. So it's easy to tear yourself down. And the best thing that one can do, I always say, it's hard to see the picture when you're sitting inside the frame. So whenever you find yourself where life seems heavy, you're inside the frame. So now one was, okay, DB, that's all cute. That's the what and the why, but how? So sometimes it's about going outside and taking a walk around your block. Most people have never even walked their block. But if you take a walk, or you go in your car, and instead of turning on the radio, don't turn it on. If you roll with your windows up, roll with them down. Do something different to shift the energy. Something magical always happens. Sometimes you're in that space and somebody's calling, you won't pick up the call. Well, pick it up, because you never know what the message is on the other side. And it's a very tough thing to do. It's not about being easy, but making those steps is all about. A lot of people don't believe in the power of energy, but energy is power. It's just like oxygen. You don't see air, but you know it exists. If you don't believe in it, as soon as you stop getting some, it exists. Yeah. Energy is the exact same way. And you have to be able to allow the energy to shift to pull yourself out of a situation. So a lot of times we are in our own way. They say man stands in his own shadow, and then he wonder why it's dark. So when you find yourself, whether it's you or anybody who's listening to us, the challenge is to let something shift and do something different that you don't normally do, to allow things to realign themselves. But that's not from a clinical standpoint.
But that's good stuff.
That's from life experience.
That's really good.
That's this emotional intelligence lens, processing emotionally charged situations through a logical lens.
That's beautiful. And I need to walk around my block for more than one reason. I also want you to look at the world who's watching us on today, and look at all the fathers and the mothers, but being that you are a father, look at all the fathers, and in like one sentence, how can you encourage them to encourage their sons or encourage their daughters? Like, how can you encourage them to pretty much have a self checkup on how they deal with things because they're frustrated, they're going through life. Kids don't understand that you got to pay this, that, and the other. I can't get you them Jordans on Christmas because this is due, or and you get upset. How can you tell a father or mother or whoever how to love on their children and know that it's important to hug and love and not get upset and have that emotional intelligence to even though these kids, they kind of snappy, they got smart mouths, they do this, you want to be ready to grab them by their neck. What do you do? What do you tell? How do you keep them to remind themselves not to slip on the emotional intelligence?
Excellent question. It's hard to answer it in one sentence.
Or do you think? I'm sorry.
No. But I would say, Shay, like, being honest, like, now this always trips people up, but do you actually love yourself? Like, that's the beginning. And are you honestly okay with who you are? We talked about this earlier. We spend more time looking out the window instead of looking in the mirror. And some of the trainings that I do, I say we get up every single day, and when we do look in the mirror, we never make eye contact. We wash our face, we brush our teeth, we put our makeup on. We look at the external part of who we are. Well, not me, but there are people who do, right? But we blast past the mirror. And very few of us look at ourselves to see who we are. And if you think I'm playing, next time you're at the mirror, stop. And it's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. And the more uncomfortable it feels is in direct correlation to how less you look at yourself. And so my question to you is that if you can't look at yourself, how you expect other people to look at you? So you have to love yourself. You have to own where you're at and be honest. And wherever you are at, now here's the key. It's okay. Don't judge yourself. We can't grow. You cannot manage what you're not willing to measure. Most people don't have any money because they will not look at their bank account until that overdraft fee hit, till you're forced to do it. But if you're paying attention to your money every single day and paying attention to where you're spending it, then you increase your chances of growing it. If you're paying attention to your relationships with your children, the person you're in a relationship with, people around you, and you're honest about where they're at, because we are big about sidestepping the truth. And a lot of people think that there are places that they're not. So when you ask me, how do we make sure that we love our kids? You got to because a lot of us check engine light is on right now in our relationships, in our health, in our bank accounts, just like your car. And most of us, when our check engine light is on, we still driving that damn thing. And the only time you take it to the shop
is when it breaks down.
When you got to. And we do the same thing with our health and our wealth and our relationships.
Yeah.
So if your check engine light is on, there's warning signs around you right now. Be honest about what they are, and it's okay. Accept it and then build from there. And just humble ourselves, because we have a lot more life to live. Despite how it looks, we're living longer these days. People don't realize that, but the law of numbers, we are living longer these days. And so even though you announced that you're 50, I'm 46, we still got a good 30, 40 years outside of something tragic. How are you going to show up in these next years? And do you understand that life is not about you, right? Because some of us is so into ourselves that we don't understand that life is not about you. It is about what you can do for others. And until you embrace that, you will always be spinning your wheels. You will always find yourself back to square one. And this level of unhappiness that we're having has everything to do. Earl Nightingale says that our rewards in life are in direct proportion to the amount of work and service that we put in. So if you are not where you want to be in life, The real question is, what are you doing to change it? Not what's why gentrification, this, that, or whatever. Like, we can always, again, out the window. But what if you are not making enough money? What are you actually doing to make more money? If you don't have a good relationship with your child, what are you doing every day to increase that? And so we just have, they say success is in our rituals. What we do every day is in direct correlation of the level of success that we have. When somebody works out, you ain't got to ask them if they work out. It's pretty obvious because the work they've been putting in. People who have success, you don't have to ask if they're successful. You know it. But the behind the scenes. So that's the long version. But how do you sum it up? Work on yourself. Start from within. Pay attention to your daily routines. What are you reading? What are you watching? A lot of us watch a lot of garbage every single day. We listen to a lot of things that are not in direct contribution to personal growth. We as a culture, we do not put value on personal growth. There's a reason. It's old school. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth. So you can listen twice as much as you talk. But the older we get, can't nobody tell us shit. And we always trying to tell somebody else what they need to do. Peel back and get in a space there where you're learning and you're willing to grow, and all the other stuff will fall into place. And I may or may not answer it, but I'll be on one.
You did, though. You answered it. That was amazing. Pretty much, I asked you, what would you say to a parent that's dealing with these kids, and these little kids are hot-headed. They're used to being on, they work with command. So they're used to pressing a button and get an answer. And they just always want it now. They don't want to go outside and play. They don't want to ride no bike. They just want to be in front of this PlayStation and stuff.
And do we understand that, like, our children, like, we create that environment for them.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? If your child is like off the hook, it ain't nobody else's fault but yours.
Exactly.
Because
that's your baby.
That's your baby. And whatever you expose them to, whatever, but it's okay.
Right.
If you own it. If your child is defiant, if your child, it's in direct proportion to the amount of work that you put in with them. Did you always just send them to the room and never checked on them?
Right.
Did you cuss them out every time you did something wrong? So when your kid grows up angry, where do you think he learned it from?
Exactly.
We all born with a clean slate.
Yes. But you can fix it.
You have to.
Yes.
Right? You have to fix it, or you're going to suffer at some point. You're going to. And that's why JR had to catch a 2-piece last night.
Yeah.
Because I refuse to let him go out there and learn, because the world, reality, right? Reality, whether you believe in it or not, is out there. And everybody don't like you. There is racism. People got things, people don't have things. This is the concrete jungle. If you park your car in a certain area, somebody's gonna break in it. Not because they're breaking in it because of you, because they need to eat right now, tonight. You know? So, we just have to make adjustments. And
if you're 2-piece, then hug them afterwards.
You gotta hug them afterwards.
That's the dessert.
Absolutely,
yes,
absolutely.
Gotta hug them afterwards and talk about it and say why I 2-pieced you and I don't ever want to do it again. And you're my everything. And
sometimes 2 pieces are verbal, right? And the people that we're around. So if you 2-piece anybody for any situation, right? And you want to come back and say, hey. And sometimes it's not even, it's just that, hey, this is where I was at, right, wrong, good or bad. This is where I was coming from. I hear where you were coming from. Either we agree or we agree to disagree, but there's some type of resolve so we can grow from there.
Yes. And sometimes a 2-piece is a good thing, especially if you're a church's chicken and you get that good greasy thigh and that leg with that jalapeno pepper and that coleslaw and that biscuit with that little honey on it and that red soda pop, and you do it in rotation. But make sure you keep everything in this side of the jaw and chew it, and it's glorious. All right. I hear we got Jay Rich on the line. Is that true? Our co-host?
Hey, baby girl, how you doing?
Baby girl, me, Jay Rich. Jay Rich, I can't stand you, but I miss you so much, and you're never here. And people are thinking I'm lying. They don't. That's why I want to get you on the line, because folks think I'm lying when I say our co-host, Jay Rich. They like, she lying, because you're never here, Jay Rich. What's going on?
Well, that's because I'm out here doing reports in the jungle right now and just trying to stay low key. But I will be back in America real quick and real soon. I see you got a real positive brother in the studio with you today, right?
Yes.
What's up with my guy, man?
Hey, what's going on with you, brother, man? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I was trying to fill in with you, but then I heard how you feel about people taking jokes, man, so I didn't want to say nothing that I heard before, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. That was time. You got to be creative.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it. But you know, I go by your model, man. I never worry.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
My guy.
And I'm trying. And Jay, you should have been here today because we covered emotional intelligence, depression, mental health, self-checkup. And he also talked about, disciplining your child or whatever. I recently saw you and your son when we were at IHOP the other day. And he
need a whooping back.
No, he does not. He was so mild-mannered. He was so respectful. And it's just a trip to look at him. He's your identical twin, but he acts nothing like you. He must take after his mama because he's too perfect. He's too perfect.
He's super serious. My youngest daughter, the one that I just realized she's trying to be a comedian because every time I see her, every time she want to come in the room and give me some kind of, this is what it's like when you eat candy you don't like, and then make faces and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, Lord.
That's so beautiful. And it's a trip how they all have different personalities. Some act like their mom, some act like daddy. And usually the son takes more after their mom, and the daughter takes more after their dad. Daddy girls, mama's boys. But he's so handsome and so nice. And I just loved him. I didn't want to do too much because that was the first time I met him. But that's Auntie's baby. Yes, it is a sweet thing, too. So, look, before you hang up, I told you everything we were talking about. And basically, we are talking about self-checkup, like look in the mirror and see how long you could look in the mirror and read your own self before you go, trying to discipline your kids, before you try to do anything or be the victim. Look in the mirror and see what's going on with you.
Right.
And anyway, and I was talking about that, and one more thing I wanted to talk about was basically being 50 years old and all these aches and pains in my knees and my hips and all that stuff hurting or whatever. I want to encourage everybody to pretty much try to eat healthier and stretch and yoga, if you will.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah. No, but all right. But one thing I had in mind right before I got on the line with y'all, I had two questions for my boy, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the first question is, now I noticed that you got the reputation of being one of the positive brothers out here in the community, right? Do you agree that your reputation is more so of you pushing positivity?
Depending on who you ask, but yes.
But for the most part, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Trying to be comedian.
Now, let me ask you this: do you believe that this is an intentional? Are you intentionally being this positive? Have you always been this positive, or did you have to grow into being this positive? And is it more of a conscious decision, or is it more so how you was raised?
Excellent question. I'm growing into positivity. I actually used to be a very negative person, and very violent. I grew up in Brookfield, so always, I was told, like most of us, like the only way to resolve conflict was through violence. And of course, growing up in the city in the late 80s, early 90s, that's what it was all about. So I felt like I had to grow into that because, even though I was a participant in it, I never liked it. Like I never felt good about anything that I had to do. And so I think I started to recognize very early on that I like when people are happy to see me and not happy for me to leave. And so I started to grow in that space and be very intentional about trying to make people feel good about just even being connected to me. So it's a growing space to answer your question here, homie.
Well, that makes sense, man. And the second thing I want your opinion on was Shay was talking about how he was talking about mental issues and different things that are going on within the community. And to be real with you, within the last 2 years, I've noticed tons of I've noticed that there's more people that's dealing with mental issues than a lot of people know of. And I'm talking about within my family, within my friends, just co-workers. Like, you know, like mental issues to me is like everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but the thing, the question I want to ask, what's really normal? Like, can we really, is normal really a thing? Because everybody has issues, right?
Right, for sure. We were talking about that before you called in. I think it really has a lot to do with, Jay, a couple of things. Perspective, right? Like how you see the world. Mental health is very real, but it grows, it gets stronger over time when it's unattended, right? So if you're not being honest, right, about how you feel,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're moving throughout the day. Because, I mean, shit, what do we do every time we see somebody and we ask them how they're doing? Nobody ever says they're not doing well. Everybody's like, I'm good. But even though you can see it all over their face that they're not good, we will say that we're good. And we were talking about this before you called in, like, there is just no way to manage what you want you're not willing to measure. So I think that in able to bounce back from a dark space when it comes to mental health, you have to really be honest about the state of mind that you're in and not be ashamed that you're not feeling well. So like if I'm depressed and I see you in the streets and you're like, what up, DB? I'm not going to say I'm depressed. I'm not going to say I'm sad. I'm going to be like, shit is good. Or I'm going to say something slick, right? To divert from you asking me another question. Because we never want to go deeper, right? So we don't want to go see therapists. We don't want to tell people what's really going on with us. So, you know, pressure busts a pipe or make diamonds. And so most people, the pressure is busting these pipes. And that's why we're seeing these erratic behaviors, because they are not able to really identify the source of where it's coming from. And so it gets frustrating. And so then that's why they act out in various ways. But, you know, disclaimer, it's not from a clinical standpoint. That's just from me, you know, in real life and what I've seen in this journey I've been on how to manage your mental health. You have to really be honest about the state of mind that you're in and realize that it's okay and you can grow from there.
Beautiful.
No, that makes sense, man. Because like you said, being real with yourself and being honest. See, because a lot of people think that I'm what you call it? They think I'm more outgoing. To be real with you, all right. When I say this statement, most people say you a lot. I'm truly shy.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like
Whatever.
true. See, and that's the response I always get.
Right.
But I'm truly shy, so sometimes like the same person you see on stage, like before I got married and everything, some women be like, "Well, you completely different from off stage because that ain't me." You see what I'm saying? I like to do that, but that I don't like big crowds unless I'm in front of them. If that makes sense, because I feel weird and awkward. Like, you know, I've never went to a Warriors parade.
Mm-hmm.
I'm paranoid.
Right.
There's too many people down there, man. So
no, I get it. People think the same thing about me. They think with my social network, but people don't ride my car. I've never, you know what I mean? I don't, you know, I'm not that guy like that. And if I come to your event, before you blink, I'm gone. I'm not like that. I'm like you. And so
Jay is definitely like that.
Yeah. That's so I
will say that.
I'm saying I understand that. But the reason why people find it hard to stay because people always look at us on the surface and they tell a story to themselves. They're like, how could you be that way if you're this way? And they don't understand that there's two separate ways of living.
Exactly. So it's just more so like a lot of things. Just like you said, people would tell a story to themselves. It's comedians, like a couple of new comedians that know me, right? You know what they said? They told me that when they first met me, and I have no idea about this, they felt like I didn't like them.
Mm-hmm.
Because of how standoffish I was. But not really knowing I'm in the corner of the club paranoid and they thinking about it.
Is that why you don't come here? That's why you ain't been on the Gab show.
Hey,
it's only 3 people here, man. You can come here, dog. It's only 3
right. of us. And I may have social
and we got food and drinks.
I may have social anxiety, but I will pull up to your event like you do.
Right.
And I will head on out.
Right.
Yes. But let me just say this, Jay Rich. When you do pull up, baby, and get on that stage, you tear it down. You kill it. You can I cuss?
It's your show.
You kill that bitch. You kill that bitch. You a beast. And even like Michael Jackson and Prince, you know, they were kind of like that too in my mind. I didn't know them personally, but most very talented, brilliant people do have that thing that you have. And I kind of have it. So that makes me feel like I might be talented because I don't think there's not one talented, brilliant person on this earth that don't have those type of odd personalities.
Right.
But I think we need to start talking about it more and make it the cool thing. The cool thing is to talk about what's going on and stop lying when you say, oh, I'm fine. Everything good. I'm good. No. How you doing? I'm fighting depression, but I'm going to be all right.
Yeah.
And how are you doing? And tell the truth. I mean, you know, tell the truth.
But then that might go against me. But I don't know the reason why I say I don't do that. Maybe it's because of my religious beliefs too. Because on my particular beliefs, they say let the weak say they strong. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
speaking to an existence kind of thing.
And speaking things into existence.
Okay.
So, and to be real with you, I feel that to the fullest because there's been many times I done talked myself into some nonsense. And I also talked myself into victory too.
That's good. But you can still tell the truth and speak into the future. So if you ain't having a good day, say I'm having a bad day, but it's about to be good. Hey.
Or it's a bad day, and it's just a bad day, but it's not going to stay that way.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's not, because it may not be good tomorrow.
Right.
Right? I mean, we have to just try to be honest. But we know one thing for sure, change is inevitable.
Yes.
The situation will change.
And some people just need a hug.
They just need a hug.
See, and that's an affirmation in itself. Just like you say, the situation will change. And to be real, it's this rapper dude. It was crazy. It was a rapper. And I've been on affirmations lately, man. I've been driving, throwing affirmations on YouTube and different things like that. It's been changing my attitude, putting more fuel in my motivation. You feel me? So daily affirmations, I think, is wonderful too. If people start practicing little things like that when it comes to mental, and then and not even just mental, just emotional health.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because some people just be walking around like people be on Facebook reaching out without reaching out. You know, I don't want to go on. Sometimes you got to hit them with that, man. You can go on, brother. You got it.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know what
the whole thing is deep, though.
And pay attention to, I want you to understand this too, though, right? When people are saying to you, well, they thought you was this or thought you, it is what they are telling themselves. They are living. So one of the things that we learn through emotional intelligence, right? We're very adamant that people look at things through different perspectives. People have different personality styles. And so when they're looking at you, right, sometimes it's like it's the lack of understanding that one could possibly go on stage, kill it, but then not want to be bothered with nobody. Because in their mind, if they were you, they would kill it on stage, they'd be at the bar, and so they have this story of how it would be like for them. And they don't have the ability to separate that you're not them. And a lot of people speak to each other as if this is how it should be because that's what they would do. It's like this.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, I always try to dispel. People talk about the golden rule, right? Treat others how you would want to be treated. But that thing need to be upgraded to the platinum rule. Because I might not like how you treat yourself. So you treat others how they want to be treated, not how you want to be treated. When we learn that, so if a person thought about that, if you said if you have retracted to a space where it's clearly that you're not trying to sociable, something that we call situational awareness, I would pick up on that vibe and I would not try to push you over to the side that I want you on. I would respect where you at. It's like celebrities talk about all the time. They're like, I'm eating with my family. Like, I'm not trying to be. I know you're a fan, and I respect it, but I don't want to sign autographs right now. And what did a fan do? Oh, he or she is acting funny, because they're not taking under consideration. Just like you, I want some private time. So
Jay, you too loud over there. You doing something, Jay?
You listening to affirmations.
I told you, I'm in the jungle. I'm over here fighting lions. I will be back in America. We will be back on this podcast
there we
together.
Go.
The flesh, but listen, there's a line coming right now that I got to take down. So
get him.
You feel me? So hey, but thank you so much for coming into the podcast, Shay Sugar. I know you're over there looking as beautiful as you always do, and I will be back home as soon as possible, man. But much love, y'all.
All right, dog.
We love
Peace.
you so much. You're amazing, and I'm just so proud of you. I just was playing when I was fussing.
And shout out to Dre, the super producer.
Yes.
Dre Rivers Entertainment in the house. Woo, woo, woo.
All right, dog. Peace.
All right, I'll holler at y'all.
One.
Before we go any further, too, I want to make sure that people know how. First of all, you have really helped me today.
Oh, nice.
And I really thank you. And I'm sure if everybody watched this whole show, they will be blessed as well. But I want to buy a T-shirt. Okay. And I want to know how do I buy a iNeverWorry T-shirt, sweatshirt, or whatever.
Okay.
I want to know about your brand.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay. So iNeverWorry. So www.ineverworry.com.
Okay.
Is the easiest way to get merchandise. There's some notable things coming up. So on January 26th, I'm hosting a free emotional intelligence seminar in Oakland.
Okay, January 26th.
January 26th. If someone wanted to attend, they would just go to iNeverWorryFreeSeminar.com and register. That's just for I can get a head count so I can know how much drink to buy for you.
Okay.
But it's a great way to get introduced to the brand. To be honest, the shirts and the hoodies are as a byproduct of the lesson. So I prefer people buy a book, and if you buy a book, I give you a shirt. Okay. Because I really want folks to understand the power of emotional intelligence. And when you wear the shirt, I don't want it to be something that you just wear. I want you to be prepared to practice being emotionally intelligent. And I want you to be prepared to discuss it with someone who hasn't heard of it. So I don't really lean with merchandise. I really prefer you come to a seminar, invite me out to your job for training, sign up for a master class. You can go to www.connectwithdb. And I have master classes where I do them online, Zoom, so you don't have to even come out the comfort of your home. But most important to me is that we start practicing emotional intelligence. Mm-hmm. The merchandise is a byproduct. Actually, to be honest with you, I prefer you not wear it.
Unless you know about it.
Right. Or unless you are willing, right, to practice emotional intelligence. You ain't got to get it right.
I'm wearing it because I'm willing.
Yeah, we got to be willing. And then, so I have 2 books out. One's called iNeverWorry.
I didn't know that.
Yes, ma'am. And the second one is called The EI Secrets, Emotional Intelligence Secrets. Beautiful. And it's a 30-day blueprint to emotional intelligence. So I could take anybody from where they are today, and in 30 days, I can get you to a space where you can actually say, I'm emotionally intelligent. So they can either get it through the book or there's an online course that you take, and you get 1 coaching video from me a day. So if you signed up today, and that's called the 30-day EIExperience.com. So you signed up for that today. You get a video today. I'd give you a lesson about emotional intelligence and challenge you for the next 24 hours, right, to practice that lesson. Then I come back and give you the next lesson.
Now, if someone wanted to get in touch with you to have a master class or to do something at their job, how do they directly contact DB? Do you want to give up your social media, or do you have a phone number? How can they get in touch with you?
So I'm all over social media. iNeverWorry. If you plug that in, it'll pop up. DB Bedford is my personal page. But if I prefer emails, so db.bedford and that's BEDFORD at iNeverWorry.com is the way to move the needle, whether it's bring me to your job, want to know more, things of that nature. And thank you for asking. I appreciate it.
That's D as in David, B as in boy, dot Bedford at iNeverWorry.com.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, now, do we have a caller for Mark Jones? We have a caller coming in for Mark Jones.
All right.
Mark Jones, are you on the line?
I'm on the line.
Say, man.
What's going on, Ron?
What's up, big bro?
Man, I'm sitting listening, and the ironic part is I got my son, my oldest son, driving me, and I'm sitting here wearing the hoodie, and I'm going, well, shoot, how about that?
Oh.
Talk about the culture. You know what I'm saying? Building the community, man. Yeah, tell your son I said hello, man.
DB said hello.
That is so beautiful.
That's
Which
what we
son?
do, man.
The youngest baby or the oldest?
But the youngest is driving. We got another problem. So I'm trying to keep my problems to a limit. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed. Hilarious.
Yeah, man. But,
that's his word.
That's his word. Hilarious. Yeah. That's why I said it.
Y'all know I'm a closet comedian. You know we do.
You are totally closet comedian, but you're so funny. And it was so good to see you at DL's show the other day, kicking it with your son, your oldest baby, and he has a beard and mustache.
Same one.
Yeah,
that's my chauffeur today.
I couldn't look at him. I was like, this is sickening. This baby is grown. What happened? Like, wow. I remember him as a young little buck with no facial hair when you had 44 in Hercules. And that was the spot. And I'm still mad at you for closing that spot.
Well, get in line.
Yeah,
I need them lemon wings. I haven't ate chicken since. I used to eat chicken, but I stopped eating chicken when he closed because them lemon wing and those them sweet potato.
Here we go. We won't be talking about emotional intelligence. You talking about lip wing.
Hey, a little fun fact. I used to be Mark's armed security.
Are you kidding
Fun
me?
fact. I used to be.
How about that?
Yeah, I used to be his armed security undercover. Yep. I used to carry concealed weapons. Yep. I used to be security there.
Oh,
but I want to say
God.
something while we got Mark on the phone. Mark Jones is so a lot of people look to me for what I do, but I go to Mark when I need to process things. Yeah, he's been big brother for a very long time, and he always helps me process things as well, though. So there's people, he moves in stealth mode, right? So if you know, you know. But yeah, Mark is a heavy contributor to who I am today, just by giving me guidance and hitting me with the say man. Yeah, say man.
Hilarious.
I love you, big
Mark,
bro.
we love you so much. You always have a warm smile.
But the relationship is mutual. Let me be real clear. The relationship is mutual. And I think my life has been enriched by the teachings of DB and what he has accomplished. And so, and you too, Shay. You know what I mean? With my friend circle, if they ain't building me up, I ain't messing with them. That's just for real.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I'm happy going somewhere by myself.
We all know that. That's why you closed Hercules 44.
So
I enjoy you though, and I watch you. I find you on social media. I don't call you all the time because you're so busy, but I love you to death, like a for real brother. But I enjoy watching you on social media. And when you did the 100 Men, what is the 100 Men's?
100 Black Men.
100 Black Men.
You were shopping in a rat's turd in a top dress. I said, "Look at you represent," and I'd be so proud. I'm so proud of you, and you so low key. You don't mention much. Ever since you quit 44 and Hercules, you've become really shy. Yeah. But I pray to God.
That's what people don't understand about me. I've always been a non-crowd person.
Not at 44. You was a butterfly at 44. You was a butterfly at 44.
And I get home, I'm on the couch, ain't talking to nobody. That's the crazy part.
Yeah. Well, that's being an
I'm on the
Aquarius.
couch chilling,
Because you're an Aquarius.
ain't talking to nobody. I need that quiet time.
Yeah, but you were not quiet at 44 and Hercules.
I ain't quiet right now.
I'm
in public.
Yeah, I love Mark Jones, but I can't stand him for closing 44 and Hercules. 44 and Hercules was where it all started, where it all began. It was just like Cheers. Everybody knew your name. We all knew everybody. It was such a lovely I'm talking the days I had my darkest hours. If I was depressed or, sad for no reason, I could go to 44 and just enjoy myself and feel so good about myself. And a lot of people go there to feel better, and you close that place, Mark. And
it was a vision. It was a vision realized, and it accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish.
You did,
and it was a vision that actually came true.
It was so fun.
Very similar to what DB has accomplished with his business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's how we grow, though. That's how we grow. Ain't no secret to this formula. Grind,
just being selfish.
Grind hard. Stay focused and get it done.
Absolutely.
That's right. But I'm just being selfish because that was the place where we would all come and reunite and have a good time and do what we do. And it was good. Thank you.
Well, we might open the EI Lounge
you.
later on or something like that. Huh?
Yeah.
Mark, let's open the EI Lounge.
Yeah,
Let's bring it back one time.
Why not?
My guy.
Sounds
Why
good.
not? As long as you run it, I don't care.
I knew he was going to say that.
All right.
Now, Mark, I want to also commend you on the great father you are to your sons. You are hands-on to them babies. And you're there, and I admire you. You are such an amazing dad. You are an amazing
thank you so
dad.
much.
And that's wonderful to see. And I just encourage all the dads out there to love on their kids and be patient with them and just love on them. Just love is what we need. Hugs. When we don't hug anyway. Just hug.
My kids be tired of me because I'm going to do that anyway.
That's beautiful. And we love you for that.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind words. Y'all, this wasn't about me, man. I called in to talk about DB. They ain't calling to talk about me.
How you knew we was on the line?
You got people in high places.
Wow. Excuse me.
I know people.
Yeah, for sure.
We love you so much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I love you. I love starting the year off like this. This is a beautiful thing.
Thank you so
much.
much.
All right, big dog. Have a good one, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, y'all be good. Talk to you soon. See you. Love you.
Peace.
Love you too. Well, that pretty much just covers everything. We had I think this is one of the best shows we've had.
Oh, wow. Humble,
so, DB, we really thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to contact DB. Go to D as in David, B as in boy, db.bedford at iNeverWorry.com. Book him and enjoy yourselves. I love you so much. Thank you so much. And The Gap Show.
It's The Gab Show with comedian Shay Sugar, comedian Jay Rich, and Dre Rivers Entertainment.